had my stuff messed up.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the hour's arrived. I call this meeting to order. Mr. Johnson, if you would give the application, please.
Sure. Well, I do thank you, we do thank you for allowing us to come again to handle our city business. I would ask you to give us knowledge and wisdom that we make the right decision to help our people. We thank you just for being God. We ask you to bless our soldiers that's on the battlefield, those that are sick, the bereaved. Bless this nation, I do pray. Amen.
Amen. Stand and pledge allegiance to the flag of our nation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gentlemen, you've got the agenda before you. I entertain a motion. Do we approve the agenda?
Make a motion.
Second. Mr. Griffin has made a motion that we approve the agenda, seconded by Mr. Ramey. Any further discussion about the agenda? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no opposition, the agenda is set. Number one, I don't think there's anyone sitting here that has not become acquainted with some water problems we've had recently. We've started, it may have started prior to that, but it really began to, I had a lot of calls around the 4th of July. And as of today, we took some samples around the city, and we've still got somebody unsatisfactory water samples. Anybody, all of you that's familiar with it, you got any suggestions?
Has there been any one area that it's concentrated in, Mayor?
Okay. North side.
The north side and everything?
Well,
I mean,
Chief, it sort of is, but Chief Wasden, out here on the Henson Farm Road,
Mhm.
at Bernice's dad and
Right.
parents' house out there, he said he drew some of the blackest, dirtiest water out of that fire hydrant that he'd ever seen in his life. So then, to some degree, I don't know whether it's concentrated or not.
Every time it runs, it will run when they're bleeding it off and clear. But it's a lot of sediment.
Right.
It's in there, anywhere from red to brown to black.
Iron and magnesium.
Iron and magnesium.
Is that what it's
the
showing?
culprit.
Red is iron and black would be magnesium.
Right.
I checked the pH at the well, just after I left you, and it's running about 7.2, so our water is not caustic,
No.
and it's not acidic, so it shouldn't be acting on the pipes enough. There's something changed, we had this problem before, and we've always used the same flushing program.
Just
We'll
like this.
have to initiate a better program until we clear it up.
We're supposed to meet, I think, Monday and have that maps and be able to make a plan of attack that will completely physically flush everything that we've got as best we can, and trying to also find and locate that leak we are suspicious of.
We also need to consider these backflow prevention, that's something.
Absolutely.
That's on the industry.
Well, we were delighted
That-
to hear that Hazelhurst Mills already has one, and has had for years.
Correct, they got a double check valve. These other ones, like the OE Road building and Alco, V3s and all that, just got processes going on inside there that could get back in our water system. We need to require that, so that's a safety hazard right there.
Asking a question here, would this not take an ordinance to do that?
I don't think so.
well, if you're going
To
to
make,
require
to
the businesses
require
to
the
do it.
businesses to put in the backflow prevention.
It's regulatory now,
Oh.
But it was
already existing,
after.
we can't go back, yeah. But it's public safety, can we go back and make
I
them
think
put
you
one
can.
in?
I think you can, it's just a matter of public safety.
Oh, we
I think
did.
you'd have to give them a time frame to do it.
Yeah,
you know,
take give them
reasonable
time.
frame.
But do we have to do an ordinance to do that?
I think so.
I thought
you
we
would.
might.
The reason we asked you for this is, my first suspect when we had this problem, I don't know if y'all was around when it happened, but E-Road backwashed into our system when I first come back here.
Yeah.
And what they done, they went in and turned off the valves to pressure test them big old lines they got in there. And when they went out and opened the valve with pressure on, all that rusty water and that black iron pipe shot into our water system.
Yeah.
That was my first suspect of what I thought might have happened. People said they seen them working over there, but we can't prove that that was what caused this. I mean, we can't prove anything.
Well, and right now, proving it's not, that's irrelevant, we just need to take and try to prevent it
Well,
going
that's what
forward.
eventually would stop that.
Right.
Are we dealing with something, the one that, what you was talking about was when they started flushing the line one time and messed up some of the, dumpling place and all?
Yeah.
No, this is when they actually went in and pressed the sprinkler system.
That happened,
That was similar to.
Roland did
the
too.
dumpling thing happened right after I got on council.
Yeah.
First time, and then after Opie came back, then the E-Rose deal happened.
Yeah.
Two separate entities.
Before the Bland, it had happened more than once, and Bland really got livid with them people over bad. I mean, he got out here, told them, I told y'all to tell me before y'all doing this, and he sent us out flushing lines everywhere.
Yeah, because they, one time they said they were gonna only flush at night, you know, when they open those valves at night is when they were gonna do it. But are we dealing with something now that you all can handle, or do you need somebody else to do it?
Us and the fire department will do that.
We've called in some advice too from, experts too, EPA.
And actually, once we get this done, we can go back to our old plan. He said that we needed to do it continuously till the problem was resolved, and then go back to, what he said, twice a year?
I'm gonna ask a crazy question now, but since we dealing with health issues and medical, we are keeping proper records of what we're trying to do to protect the city.
Well, we're gonna have to.
When,
the minutes
every
of this-
meeting,
the minutes
like
of
you-
this meeting's gonna have to be sent to Brunswick.
what we talking to somebody, or to get experts advice, to show that we are trying to, that nobody was just sitting
I'm
down.
responding to everybody that's called about a water complaint that I knew of. Did they call me, if they call a water complaint, I'll go respond. Most of the
No,
time
no.
I find it's just a hot water heater smell.
Yeah, no, that ain't what I'm talking.
I know what you're saying, and we report what we're doing to remedy the problem.
Yeah, because if something come up later on, they say, whoa, we tried to do that, and we talked to the state, we talked to this one, to make sure we was doing it right.
Well, we went as far as going to all the system, people that complained, seriously complained about it. I went and done bacteria samples at their house and everything.
I didn't realize what this
This,
is.
this is what we had talked about earlier, that all of this needs to be documented. You are correct. And, I think there's supposed to be a report sent to EPA, so that they will know that we are being proactive, that we are doing and working, as some suggestions, earlier. We know right now that we've got to be planned out Monday, exactly who and what's gonna be done. That'll be just as soon as we get the mappings that we have.
The folks spent a good bit of time in our office yesterday, and then we've done a lot more testing and pulling water today. And, one of the gentlemen that, they gave us his name yesterday when we were here, and we contacted him this afternoon and had a nice long chat. And, between the environmental people that have been called in because of this water problem, and the gentleman whose advice we've sought, he can't, come next week, but he'll be here soon. He's given us some directions on what to do, and EPD has given us some directions on what to expect. And between, like, Opie said a minute ago, the action of this, meeting tonight, is to be transferred to them as to what, what we plan to do. And I can tell you that, not only is our plan of action got to be submitted to them, but, then it's got to be followed up on, and we need to get a routine of management of this thing that, is somewhat different from what we've been doing. But we have struggled with it, and I think we're, heading in the right direction. But as a council, we want to make sure that, the minutes reflect, that we've done what the EP asked us to do, and then that we follow up and put together the right type of program that they're expecting.
To do what we fix that to do, we fix that to exceed our permit limitation. So what I'm gonna do is record, try to make some kind of record of which flows, how much water to come out of it, how long it was flushed, or we have some kind of record for accountability.
Yeah.
Because right now, we've got our, when I first came here, our accountability was 50-something, we had it up to 80-something% this past year.
Do y'all know what he's saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Accounted for.
That,
Yeah.
with the water pumped, as we gauge our 3 wells, it's pumping now, and the water that we're metering and putting through our system, somewhere we're losing, at one time, he said as much as 50% of our water is unaccounted for. The last report that I got from Opie that was real good, and I think he was pleased with it, we were up to around 80%. And what he's telling us and warning us, that with the amount of flushing that we're going to have to do, starting at each well and starting at the closest place to flush from that well and that line and feeding out, which is a system that we've been doing a little bit, we've been making some mistakes. But with that, it's going to require, to get these lines flushed and cleaned out, we're going to use a lot of water. And this efficiency of 80% is going to come down to something.
So that's what I'm gonna try to account for, but what it's gonna do is gonna push us over our permit limitation for pumping.
Well,
We got a groundwater rule that says we can't pump, but 1.06 million above daily average.
yeah, but this is an emergency, Opie, and what I mentioned to you yesterday, and today.
Well, EPD will back us up on it.
Yeah.
I want you, as part of this notification, is to let them know that this is going to affect this water loss
I'll
ratio.
include it on my groundwater report.
Make sure that you do that, so that we've got some coverage for this.
Okay.
Gentlemen, y'all got any other suggestions that we need to handle on this?
No, I did note that our expert that we contacted, was very familiar with it. He said, that it wasn't anything uncommon. Of course, our mayor reminded him, it might not be uncommon to him, but it's very uncommon to us. It's the first time we've seen this, water like this. But it said he'd seen that problem before. Iron and
So
magnesium.
something's happened somewhere. In my mind, I think something's triggered this. And I can't put my finger on it. Like, the first place I went was zero, but I've experienced with that doing that before.
Well,
Either
another thing-
somebody's used our lines and served them in, or done something, or something's happened somewhere.
Or we got a leak.
The other thing that was brought up too, and we suspected it for a little while, and it may have something to do with it, I'm not sure. But you know, when they closed that bypass over there now for this new overhead bridge across the railroad, we've got twice the traffic of heavy trucks and loads on Crow-Arty and Tallahassee in here now. And these water lines, these old black iron pipe lines are underneath of these road beds, and it could be that constant and double load is shaking a lot of this stuff loose. But at any rate, we've got to do a super job of flushing lines, and we plan to do just that.
Like I said, as long as we document what we're doing and he puts it in the plan, we're gonna be covered, and what's happened so far. So we'll be good.
All right, are we sufficient, you think, now we've done the right thing with our discussion and notes so that the minutes can reflect?
Can I ask something else, Mayor?
Sure.
On this backflow prevention, do we need to take, and I mean, I'm asking, because if we need to take and do it for the industries that we have already in place, should we take and try to draw an ordinance up for it to have them put into places? And I mean, I'm
Our
asking.
attorney just said yes.
I mean, I know he said yes, we needed one. I'm asking, should we go ahead and be proactive and go ahead and start drawing one up?
I think so.
I think so.
But now, let me tell you what, I found out after, I didn't know that Hazelhurst Mills had it all established. When I called them and questioned them about it, it didn't take Sutton long, the plant manager, to call me back and said, Mayor said, I want you, our engineer told us that if we did that, we've got a flow prevention system over here, and we wouldn't be putting anything in your water to start with. Well, that encouraged me.
Right.
And then too, I know y'all seen this vast complex in front of E-Road. They've got the same thing right there now.
They wouldn't have done it last time.
I know, but it was because they didn't close their valve. The system is engineered there, so now that I've looked at it, that bank of valves that you see out there in front of that thing, I think the only reason it got back in is somebody didn't close the valve when they were doing that, because that system surely wouldn't have been installed without
That
it.
was when they opened it back up.
Oh, they didn't
closed the valve to pressure test the line, but the pressure in the line pushes it back out into our system. They set the pressure, our pressure in the water line is about 50 to 60.
Well,
Pressure on them lines is gonna be around 100 and something PSI.
okay, so you think, that they did have the valve and have it closed, but when they opened back up to let water back in, they had to flush their system out, and it backflowed. Well, at any rate, with Roger, with Mr. Williams, with nothing in that building, and here again, y'all talk about an expensive thing when you're talking about, this type of backflow valve and all going in, it's not cheap to put in. I don't know, we better get our attorney to help us sort of figure out how to go with that. It's gonna be right expensive, and, we don't need to incur more expense than we have to.
Well, they would be curved on it. According to state law, it's their responsibility to put it in and their responsibility to maintain it.
Hope it, like if E-road was the problem, how would they have let off that pressure? They should have drained it somewhere
On
else
their system,
They
yeah.
should have drained it somewhere else in our system before.
instead of just letting it.
Or nothing else allowed the pressure to come
Let the
back.
pressure off, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do we need to do, gentlemen? We're all here to think of this together.
Do we need a motion to, create an ordinance?
I don't think so. Y'all just tell me to
Just
do
tell-
it, then I'll start researching everything and get some
Find out
drafts.
if we can.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we instruct you to do so? All right?
I took it as that.
Okay, all right. Okay, if we're all satisfied, let's move on. And on number 2, Mr. Attorney, I think you told
Yeah.
Mr. Newell that you'd handle this for him?
Yeah, Brian sent the copy of the thing that y'all have looked at.
Yes.
And he did a good job covering the issues, but it needs some ironing out, finesse, and I talked with him before the meeting. So I'm gonna get with him, and I'm gonna straighten it up, so to speak. There's some gaps in it, and some things that need to be tied together. And I'll sit down with him, and I should have it for you at the next work session.
Okay, good enough. Okay, that's good enough with me. The next item, on this cemetery ordinance, I don't know about you gentlemen, but I decided I better do my homework. I've read over what the attorney's prepared, and, I'm ready for, entertain that y'all move, we adapt the ordinance that the attorney's drawn up for us.
Make a motion that we adopt the ordinance.
I second it.
Mr. Budworth has made a motion that we adopt the ordinance as presented by attorney, and seconded by Mr. Johnson. Any further discussion? That's the cemetery ordinance, isn't it?
Right.
Any further discussion?
Attorney Smith, you and I, once we found this and printed it out, you had said something about some rules.
Yeah, if you notice in there, I've made a provision for a cemetery committee, because things will evolve as to what, like this thing with the remains we covered, but there'll be other issues that come up instead of come back and amend the ordinance. I've established where y'all can set up a cemetery committee to come up with rules and regulations. A lot of cemeteries have that. They have the ordinance, but then they finesse it with the rules and regulations as the times change to address that. So, that's something we'll need to do after y'all pass the ordinance, to work on rules and regulations.
Okay.
And a lot of it will be just putting some of the requirements of the ordinance in layman's terms, for anybody that needs to pick up a copy of rules and regulations to cover everything that's in the ordinance and any additional things that the council may approve later on down the road.
Okay.
Okay, gentlemen, you've heard the motion's been made and second. You heard the discussion. Any additional discussion on the cemetery ordinance? Okay, hearing none, I call for the vote. All in favor of adopting the same, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, so adopted. If I'd like for you, on item 4, I'd like for you to pull out the letter that the woman wrote us about the splash pad. And get that in front of you, it's in your, you've got it, okay. And also, as you read and look at that, Ms. Griffin, you found yours? It's the one paragraph across the page,
Yes, I found it.
all right, I'd like for everybody to get that. If you haven't read it, I want you to read it. And I want to add, I concur with everything that she said in that thing. Having gone through the problems of it being down for a few days and going out there a good bit lately, Sunday morning before I went to Sunday school, I went by out there. And y'all, that was the filthiest, nastiest, stinkingest place I can remember. It was just awful. I'm telling you that I only have, in fact, even my grandchildren are a little bit old to go to the splash pad, but I've got one that might enjoy it a little bit. I wouldn't want my children or grandchildren out there. It was that filthy. The odor of the diapers that had been pulled off and thrown under the benches and the tables out there, the trash cans that had soured and was rotten, sitting right there behind where you have to, once you come out of the water at the table, it was awful. Now, with my report, and you read this, what this woman said that was going on with children fighting, pushing and hurting one another, we've got us a real mess out there, and we've got $350,000 invested out there. And just like she said, we've got a tremendous thing to people coming from adjoining counties, and we're very proud of it. But now, always among us are people that have no respect for anything. They don't respect their own property, and they don't respect the cities. We've tried to put bathrooms at all of our parks where they've got nice facilities so that when people at the park and go out there, and it's honestly, it's not decent, and with us trying to maintain them and all. So at any rate, this is the nature of our situation, and this is part of our problem, and it's our responsibility to handle it. Now then, the problem's been put in your hands. That's what you're sitting here for. Now let's decide what we're going to do.
First, when I read it, you know, well, I won't go into what I thought, but don't we have rules?
They're posted.
They're posted.
Huh?
They're posted.
Okay, but no, I'm just asking a step of question first. Rules are posted.
Yes.
We done went through all of that. The only thing that we don't have is a person out there working to make sure that rules are followed.
That's correct. No enforcement.
And as far as taking care of it, having a group to come by. See, when we first started this, those were the two main things that we talked about. People cleaning it, and we would eventually would probably have somebody over it. That's what they said, to make sure we got some rules over it, to try it at first, to see if people were gonna follow it. Now, I remember us talking that you can put them out there, but they ain't gonna do it. So now comes the time that you may have to try to start looking in, to making sure that somebody is there to follow the rules and have a time limit.
I'm saying this as a little bit as a joke now, Mr. Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
That means we're gonna have to go up on the water bills.
Oh, well, I ain't saying this is no joke. Council, y'all may have to close this session.
I agree with Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, right. So, now that can be on the camera, I'm saying that.
Did I cut the chase?
But really and truthfully, we addressed those two things, and we tried to get ahead of it. Why do you have to have people? The human being knows that they ought to try to be more respectful. Now, we talked about this again, when this was formed, how they destroyed the bathrooms at all our parks, and now we got something even nicer, and hopefully they was going to try to keep it. But now we just have to nip it in the bud and put a time and put somebody there.
Well, I have cleaned it up now. I got the prisoners, I checked it Sunday morning and Sunday night, and like I say, it was filthy. It was just a mess. I couldn't believe the stuff that was there. But anyway, I got to, Monday morning, I got them to pick up the trash cans, all the trash cans that out there at each end, and take them away from there, and empty them, and then wash them, and put new ones there. And then I told them from now on, when they go to empty those things, to check, and if they've stayed there long enough that there's diapers and sour in there, to take the whole trash can and switch out and take somewhere and clean them, because in that small confined place, it's bigger than this room. If you've got a bunch of rotten, dirty diapers and mess that's soured in there, you can't get that odor out unless you do it. So anyway, I got it cleaned up good. I got new trash cans out there, and the old ones, and they're ready to switch them out as they go each time if necessary, and wash them and bring them back. And I got them to go in there and scrub the floor under the benches where the drinks, and ice cream, and everything in the world had fallen under that bench, and no one had swept it, and finally with the water and so forth, it mowed, and it was just, you know, under the bench itself, was just a mold and rotten odor mess. So we got the prisoners out there and scrubbed and sanitized that. So I got it back looking real nice this week now. But again, it won't last long.
It's almost the nature of the beast is dealing with the public and the abuse that we've gotten. And it's not necessarily all our people. This letter here indicates they were coming from another county. And it's just one of those things that is going to be abused to some extent. I don't see why we could not ask some of our people to randomly go by and check, to set a pattern of even the police car, if they're making a route that's going through those blocks, to take that car and cut right across over there and just put an eyeball out to see what's going on. Our city workers, if we're over in that area, that they could take just a minute to stop and look at that area and see how it's done. If there's a problem, address it. We're supposed to have 2 signs, I think, put up. It's gonna have the mayor's phone number and non-emergency police number on there for people that are there, that if they see problems, to address it.
I'm saying this because I used to be a cop. What are they gonna do? I mean, nobody's gonna do anything in front of a police officer, number one.
Yeah.
So what are they gonna do when they pull up and they're full of trash and what have you? Just
They need to notify the mayor that it needs to be cleaned up.
we know that's gonna need to be done every day.
All right, let me mention this to you, and then again, I want y'all to continue with this, man. I want y'all to solve the problem. But our communications director sitting back there in the back, she has come up with a suggestion some months ago that we thought we might try, in trying to get a group of support people like, I think Mr. Ramey inferred to that a minute ago. If we had a grandma or two that carries their children out there during the week, or we had a parent or somebody that normally carries their children out there on Saturday afternoon, if we could get 8 or 10 parents or grandparents to serve on a committee that I bring my children frequently out here, that they might could control that, but we don't have the money, unless, like, I wasn't kidding when I mentioned to Mr. Johnson that we don't have the funds to staff that thing now. But Mary Ann's suggestion of forming a little splash pad advisory committee, or I don't know what you call it, I don't know whether it work or not.
Try it. Better than doing nothing.
Well, I'm willing to try anything, but I'm just saying, the public, it don't take but one apple to destroy the bear. And that nice place out there, some people have it in their mind to do it no matter what.
Yeah.
And we started off with, I think you got to put a time limit, open from this to this, and so many months a year, and we integrate it into our system somehow or another, just like we do our streets, and take care of it. If we depend on the public to try to help do it, there's individuals, just like Commissioner said down there, with the cops, they ain't gonna do nothing. And if I go out there and tell them, don't, they say, oh, how you can't tell me to do nothing, you just like I am, then that put them at risk. So I think the city's good grace has to integrate it into excuse me, integrated into some kind of work ethics with us, and we can do it. We can do it, because if I don't know what kind of time is that place supposed to be open.
Open from 9 o'clock in the morning till dusk.
No, see, we may have to stop it. You may have to say, nope, we ain't gonna open it from 12 to 5.
Okay.
You may have to do that.
That's what we're
You
here
understand
for.
what I'm saying?
That's reading this on this agenda.
I think 10 to 6 would be plenty of time.
from 10 to 6?
That's my opinion.
Regardless
Let
of
them
the
just say
time,
you might
you
have to do a
still-
time, and
You're gonna have to have somebody,
Yeah,
people,
somebody's got to take care of the.
I mean, we
control.
do all agree that somebody's got to take care of
Yeah.
it, whether we take and put it on a morning round to-do list for whoever.
Mhm.
This is where you're going this morning.
But if you do it during the time that you're working, you're more apt to take care of it. And I know people say, we come up here on Saturdays and things like that. You may not be able right now to allow that. You do it from the work time that we got individuals, proper work, and you got a schedule that they go out there and do it.
Yep.
So,
Like they check
it can be
wells and
done.
pumps and whatever else, I mean.
But
Put a camera up.
Opie,
you can,
Opie,
you can.
Yes,
what intervals do you go out there every day
where,
to the splash pad?
well,
You told me you check the chemicals and,
I have, but I keep them up for them, but
so what interval, that's what I'm asking, what intervals do you have to go out there?
we don't.
Well, you don't go, I
Carl
thought,
been keeping it up.
oh, Carl's been doing
Mhm.
that. Oh, I thought, well, for a while you did, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Because you check the water, don't you take tests of the water too?
Checking Braddock acid, the pH balance, and the...
But Carl's doing that now?
Mhm.
But now that he's been in the hospital for over a week, who's doing it?
I have no idea. They took that out of our hands.
Who?
Carl had started taking care of it.
Carl.
What's her name,
Summer,
one used to work,
Summer Daniels,
no, the other girl.
Natasha?
Natasha?
She was helping him with his son now, she was being around out there. I don't know if she still is.
And Mayor, I haven't heard anything in the office as to who's
I
doing
thought
what in
I thought he
their
was
car.
out there daily, one time you were out there daily, I believe.
Well, we were sending one of our crew by that was checking, whichever one we checked well, we was going by checking the pH and the pouring on it.
That's what I understood, and then that's not
And now they
happening.
got the feeders now, and what Carl's doing, he's keeping the feeders going, him and his crew. We got the boric acid and the chlorine being dosed into the system automatically.
So you're not having to go out there at all?
Mm.
While we are discussing this issue, one of the things that we have come up in the office, we get calls about the splash pad, renting the shelter, so on and so forth. Then they begin to go, well, can we do this can we have this party outside? Okay, now you've got to remember, we have an easement for the splash pad. That belongs to the city.
Take
The
that.
rest of that property belongs to Jeff Davis County. I cannot answer for Jeff Davis County. And then they want to, we take some abuse for that. I say that because there's Tim, there's Lori, and myself. I cannot answer for Jeff Davis County, so I would like it noted that if you call about the splash pad, we have an easement to it. The property surrounding the splash pad belongs to Jeff Davis County.
Sounds like we need to find a city who wants to build a splash pad and sell them the park for this.
Talk actually about how they run their splash pad, they don't seem to have no problem with theirs over here.
Well, theirs is right there at the well too. They got the small one right here at City Hall, that's what they got. And it's right there outside the courthouse and everything. And I mean,
It seems to stay immaculate and
That's
all the
because
crowd of
it's-
people there and.
it's because it's right outside the courthouse and that's where they have the county workers and whatever else and stuff there too, so.
Well, that's,
But we can take,
They didn't even have to.
no, it's not fenced in. Now, and
well,
a
that's
lot
an
of-
idea though, is to, inquire what of the ones that's got splash pads and see, are they having any problems like this?
Right.
What are they doing with it?
I mean, you know, if there's an offender out there, and if they're caught, you make an example out of them and then go from there, in my opinion. But like I said, in order to deter it, whatever, the only thing that can be done is by basically community policing. I'm not just talking about the police force, I'm talking about everybody, you know, in general, as far as whether it's the water and sewer department, the trash people, the officers and everything that ride by or whatever else, you know, taking, you know, community policing helps a lot and everything, because, I mean, if they know people are watching and they know people are looking, a lot of times people are not gonna do. But if they know nobody's sitting there waiting, or I say waiting, nobody's gonna come by, then that's when it's gonna happen, they're gonna do what they wanna do. If they're not sure, yeah.
Make sure we kind of act like.
And I mean, we can take, we can get something set up through, I mean, with the water and sewer department, and whatever else too, and, or through, in Public Works together and everything. Have a round, go out there in the morning, what's it gonna hurt you get here, you clock in at 7 o'clock, go. I mean, it's not gonna, you're gonna be out there for less than an hour to clean it up, we just need to put it on some kind of schedule and do it. That's the biggest thing we just need to do. I mean, I ain't talking with
All right, we can sit here and gum it to death.
Yeah.
What kind of action are we gonna take?
Sounds to me, I might need a Chris Jones out there.
Need a Chris Jones. That's Chris Jones.
Was you volunteering?
That sounds like a volunteer, you know?
Let's see what's going on. 'Cause I go to the library all the time over there, right? And it's always people out there having fun, you can hear kids doing a lot of stuff, so they like it. They love the actual splash pad. That's so far that I see. Now, I was just wondering too, when's the last time, and I know it's been up for, what, about 5 months, 6 months?
Oh, no, it's been up over a year. We're in our
Has that been a year?
second, we're in our second
I
year.
remember when it was, okay.
Yeah.
But, when's the last time prior to that, that we actually had a cleaning done on that facility? Kind of like the seasons, right? Because, you know, every season, it's probably good to do a thorough cleaning of it. And if, I was wondering, you said you had the inmates go, the detail, right? Detail go out and clean it or whatever's going on, right? So if we have a detail that comes up every 3 to 4 months, and then just general pick up, I think we can be successful if we do it like that too.
What I
That would be
suggested,
a help.
the other day was that, when the prison detail gets here on Monday morning, and when they went out this Monday, in fact, I did it this Monday, by the time they get here about 8 o'clock, and by the time they got out there a little after 8, the children was already in there, it was in full capacity, that's when you're talking about cutting the hours down. So the prison, they couldn't carry the prison detail with the children in. So we told them, okay, in the morning, you get here a little bit early, and let's get in there. So they got in there before the children got there Tuesday morning and cleaned out. But my suggestion is that Monday morning, them to get here early and not let that get open until they get out there and do a thorough cleaning and wash the cans and all. And then the visitors does not come on Friday. Thursday is their last day of the week, you know, that they work for us. And I'm suggesting that the last thing they do, well, no, that won't work for the children out there. They'll have to do the same thing that morning. They'll have to get up there and keep it locked up until they can get there Thursday morning and give it a thorough cleaning on Thursday morning. Now, that will take care of the filth that I found out there Sunday to institute that sort of thing. And then from there, as far as the behavior and the larger kids say, and I have seen some big boys out there enjoying it. But of course now, so I don't know whether you know it, but I've got some big boys too, and they're young. But at any rate, I don't know, we've got to do something. We can't just gum it to death.
Could you put an age limit on it?
There
We
is
do
an
have,
age,
we do have an age limit on it.
there is an age limit on the signage.
And plus, one thing that's happening right now, we have to take this into account too. It's the summertime, right?
Right.
So it's a lot of, that's a well-used facility during the summer. It's probably gonna be well-used during the springtime. So it will slow down, you know what I'm saying? But right now, about the months that's going on, the time that's going on, we can annotate that, we can keep that data, right? And once we keep it, we know these are high times for it to be used. So we need a little bit more cleaning. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, when school starts back, the load will be reduced tremendously. All right, gentlemen, you want me to try to implement with the prisoners on those 2 days, Monday and Thursday? You want me to try to do that?
Please.
Yeah, let's do that we can do it for the summer months, and then when school starts back, we probably cut them down to one time a week. I mean, I think we can then.
Well, I can do that, that'll help some. Anything else?
I had a little issue when she said a diaper. We put in rules with that, on your rules out there, ain't there a rule that they cannot be in the splash pad with certain kind of diapers?
Let's have on a swimming suit.
But there it goes
No,
back
I
to-
mean, with babies, they are supposed to be in some kind of,
Swimwear.
Swimmings or whatever.
Yes.
with the diaper, but it has to be covered with plastic. They
Right.
can't just go with the diaper.
I believe you're correct, that is a
And-
rule.
And
That's
if
part of
that,
the rules. That's part
and
of
if
the
that's the case, then if I come out there and you bring your grandchild out there and decide he going in with the diaper, and I say something to you, you got to have a way to handle that. Because you say now, I said, now, Mr. Raymond, you know he shouldn't be in because the reason, this is my child.
What that backs up to though, it comes out to the point that, of the observation. Well, nobody's gonna pay attention to you until you make an example out of that first one. And, the immediately just as soon, yeah, you've done this is the rules, you call the police and let them do it, unless the mayor wants to come out there and do it.
Well, I don't think he needs to be going out there myself,
I think, it'd be enforced, and the only one's gonna enforce is police.
The police can handle that.
Yeah.
I think that's a minor thing if they would ever have to handle.
All right, so as of today, you want to, just try to implement what I was talking about and come up
Yes.
with some additional things later?
Yeah.
All right, I'll try to do that, I'll take your instructions. Okay, let's move on to number 5. Mr. Griffin, you've got number 5?
Yeah, I just took in, I didn't know that we had changed the route on the water line and everything, and, until Monday, or Monday night or Tuesday when it was. And, the only thing I had a question on or whatever, because I know before where we were gonna run it across down North Gill Street and through there, which is the most expedient route, pretty much, you know what I'm saying, the most direct route. The pipe we're running out there, is it 12-inch all the way?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, are we taking it down, from what I'm looking at, going down that Jayan Estates Road there and cutting back over to Beasley and then tying into our existing water line that runs back out,
Let me see your map.
221? Is that what I'm looking at right there? I mean,
See, you see this,
Right.
you see this road here where our 8-inch line goes around and makes a loop? Starting right there is where we changed it. We had when I came in here, you were fixing to put an 8-inch line out there. I changed it to a 12.
right,
So we're gonna come around here and find that 12-inch line right there.
okay, so we're gonna tie onto it, so it's gonna loop it back to over here? Or is that the only one we've got, or is it?
No, it's coming.
Or is it just a closed loop?
See this right here? This is the
I
well,
tried to make
out to
copies
Pine
of it.
Street,
Right,
out,
right.
down
What are you
to
talking
down
about?
Young Road, and that hooks
We've
back
got
up.
to feed
Okay,
from
now,
8
and
to
the reason
12,
I'm
it
asking,
can go from a 12
and
to 8.
Mr. Ramey, you may have a little more insight than I do. Now, the reason for us taking and running it across here is because, so we could take and tie into it over here, so we would have a loop system. Is that correct? So we would create more pressure and flow?
Now, the reason that I suggested to the engineer, I said there's only 2 landowners between Omaha Road and the railroad track.
I understand.
I believe if I owned the property, and you're gonna put a 12-inch line underneath the ground, right along the property line, that wouldn't interfere with anything I wanted to do with it, it'd sit there for a time. That I just, and that's again where I was wrong, I just thought, sure, in fact, half of the people did. The northern end of that thing, going toward the railroad track, they said, Lord, yes, the advantage that the Listons had of half of the area was the Listons had a daughter that was a civil engineer with the phone company in Arkansas. So when I talked to the Listons, they contacted their daughter with the phone company in Arkansas, and she looked at it and said, Lord, yes, Mama, sign whatever they want. If they'll put a 12-inch water line across our property, for God's sakes, do it. Well, the other half, when we mentioned to them, they said, well, the Beasleys can get anything they want, can't they? Well, there was a negativity there. So at any rate, they got started, and the end fact is that the route that I thought would benefit people, would get us a new area that in the future would have utilities there that wouldn't cost them any money. It'd be much more expedient to get there, that I'd save us some money. It didn't work. So we went back to plan, maybe, we left Plan A and went to another plan.
I think this was the first plan.
Right.
According to Kenny Green, when I talked to him, that initially you had looked at doing it the way we're fixing to have to go. The only handicap that I see that we're going to have going this route, we may end up disrupting traffic because we're going down the roadside that's there, and we're going to have to get state permits, which Kenny, I think, has got that. But the other little piece that's there, it's going to have to bust up a sidewalk, and we'll just have to put the sidewalk back.
It's only crossing the sidewalk.
Yes.
It's not a major problem.
But I mean, I was just asking, because I mean, like I said, up until Tuesday, I thought we were all green to go out the other way. And
Well, I did too. I thought sure it'd fly, but it didn't.
Well, anyway, I
But
mean,
then let
I'm
me
just-
share this with you while we're on the topic so that you have the whole story. When I finally gave up on getting that line that I thought would be so fast going across the country and would help those folks, I went back to the attorney, and in 1970, I surveyed a route from down here at the pawn shop, across to the swimming pool, and out across the golf course, and I put that line, surveyed the line for the engineers back then. I forget who they were, Lovett and somebody. But I surveyed that line out in 1970. And I said, I got with Ken and said, let's look at that thing. I asked him, I said, can we use that easement for a water line? If we can get 10 feet away from the sewer line in that easement, we can put our water line in there. Well, lo and behold, when he got with his crew and we got on it Monday morning, Ken, you can tell them that it said specifically a sewer.
Specifically limited to
To a sewer line, so that stopped us from using that unless we go back and renew those easements. And I had already kissed and humored, and I was up to here, we were trying to get easements, and so we went back to Plan A.
I mean, I didn't know, and that's why I wanted to ask about it, talk about it, and whatever else. And this is gonna take and give us the same volume and pressure that we're gonna have tying it in there as opposed to tying it across. That's what I wanted to make sure, because I mean, that's one of the main reasons for it going out there, so they will have that in case they need it and everything. So, I mean, I'm just making sure, and as long as...
You gotta keep in mind too now, for the benefit of course, I think everybody up here knows that, but we've got a couple, some of them left. Beasley, when I left with it, the last word I had was that Beasley was gonna have to spend $500,000, and they'd give us $350,000 if we put it out there. And Andrea, with the industrial authority, I understood she was getting a $350,000 loan, which gave us $700,000. And the estimate, and we think it's maybe a little high, is about $800,000. But now lately, what we've signed, Ms. Thompson and I, and all have signed for Andrea in getting this One Georgia grant, is for $500,000. So if we get $500,000 of One Georgia money, and we get $350,000 from Beasley, we should have the line out there with totally no cost to us, it looks like. But now, here again, that's what it looks like. Make sure that I go...
No.
That's still with the efforts
Total
of
length
the
of the line y'all put in.
Pardon?
The total length of the line.
About 12,000 feet.
On here it's about 10 inches.
On there, it's
On there it's about 10 inches, but I think probably close to 12,000 feet.
Well, is the consumption gonna be good, that we gonna be able to maintain the chlorine, fluoride, and all that stuff in it?
That's your bailiwick.
I knew it was coming.
I will say this too now, I'm always, as you know, I try to save it all everywhere I can. And we're getting it put in with Grant and the industry's money. And based upon the bill that we've always had with Hazel Earth Mills, this will be a sizable water bill every month. You'll be surprised, it's gonna be a pretty good sized bill. So we should be, it'll be a gradual recovery, but over a number of years, even with that industry alone, the consumption and what they pay for it, if billed properly and handled, should bring a pretty good bit of income to us. Okay, let's move on.
Alright.
I entertain a motion that we approve, item 6, 7, and 8.
Make a motion.
Mr. Griffin has made a motion to approve 6, 7, 8. That's the water and sewer adjustments to the Forked Council and the check register. Seconded by Mr. Raymond. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, it carries. Citizens' comments. Hearing none, we'll move along.
Excuse me. If you will look in your packet, there was an email from Andrea Taylor.
Yeah.
She would like for the council to join Tuesday, July 23rd, for a regional economic development meeting from 10:30 to 1:30 at the Hazelhurst Golf Course. Please, please, please try to attend. Director for the Center for Regional Impact with Valdosta State is going to be there. The Census 2020, for every head count that we miss, we lose money. Please be there. I need to know who will be there, so I can let Ms. Taylor know.
I have court, I will not be there.
I will be out of town, I won't be there.
I'll try to be there.
And I apologize, we'll be on a church thing, I'll be out of town. I'm sorry, but
All right, let's,
I will do my best to be there.
all right, we're down to, Mayor and Commissioner comments. Y'all got anything just hot on your shoulder you gotta handle?
Has anybody got an update on Carl? I talked to him yesterday, he was still in ICU.
So what, somebody told me he was in Fort Lauderdale.
There's mixed.
Supposed to win.
No, he was supposed to have went, he was in ICU yesterday when I talked to him, room 3 over there, ICU 3, and, I mean,
He's having a tough time, I knew that, I didn't, but they told me, somebody, I don't know where it came from, that he'd gotten out of the hospital and he was gonna try to recover down at, where he planned to go on vacation or something, that's not correct?
I did ask about that this morning, and Lori actually made a phone call, because she and I were discussing it. And he was dismissed Monday. However, Monday night, EMS from Bacon County had to pick him up. He was readmitted into ICU. He's still in ICU.
Oh, okay, all right.
And we just
Okay,
need
maybe
to,
that's where the confusion came in. He thought he was gonna go down and try to recover at St. Augustine, and he wasn't strong enough to do it.
we just
Well,
need
Carl,
to-
I will tell you this, Carl's got a very serious, condition, a very serious condition.
we just need to remember our prayers and everything. I just-
Yes.
Where is he in the hospital?
Bacon.
Bacon County.
All right, any other comments? Mr. Johnson?
so move.
Second.
Mr. Johnson moves that we go to the House. It's second by Mr. Bloodworth. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Ms. Benitez.